I've been living in the UK for the last 7 years now, and for me it's really easy to pick up on some what I think are strange British habits. But nonetheless, we shouldn't forget that the Dutch have a few strange habits of their own. So in this video I'm going to talk about 13 habits that I think are not strange at all, but as a foreigner they might be. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the word gezellig. So for you the sound comes from your throat, so it doesn't sound very appealing, but gezellig is very important in Dutch culture. So it might translate as cozy or nice, but there's not a real proper English translation for the word. So what are things that are gezellig then? It can mean seeing your friends that you haven't seen in a long time, spending time with family, going out for dinner. A city can be gezellig. So it's a very broad concept. So the second thing is where I'm going to talk about birthday parties. When you go to a Dutch birthday party, you will often see lots of Dutch people sitting in a circle talking about general things such as the weather. But what a lot of people find the strangest thing of this all, that you don't just celebrate the birthday boy or girl, you congratulate their parents, you might even congratulate their brothers or your sisters, and you go around a long circle and all of them you congratulate them with giving them 3 kisses on the cheek. The third thing is that Dutch people do have a habit of being thrifty and not liking to spend money on a lot of things. So if you give someone Dutch a compliment on clothes or something else that they bought, surprisingly some of them might come back to not saying like, oh thank you, but also saying this was such a good bargain, this is how much I paid for it. So finding those really good deals that are really cheap, that's a typical Dutch quality. The fourth one is probably one of my favourite Dutch habits. I really can't go without licorice. So licorice in the Netherlands comes in all sizes, all shapes, you can have something really sweet, but the more traditional version is very salty. So and sometimes when you go to restaurants they would give you this little lollipop, which seem quite normal, but then when you bite it there's like pure salt in the inside. So I've taken licorice with me everywhere when I went on my travels, for instance when I went to Brazil. And I haven't really found a lot of people outside of the Netherlands that actually really like the salty licorice. The fifth one is when you go camping as a Dutch person, you go camping in style. So while with camping a lot of people think of like getting in touch with nature and going back to basics, lots of Dutch people would have a caravan, so you have nice hot water for your own shower, very comfortable, and my parents even have got a camper so they can tour around. The sixth one is about frietjes, so which are the Dutch fries. So you can buy them in every street corner in the Netherlands, and while that doesn't seem like a strange habit maybe, we do tend to add a lot of mayonnaise to it, and the mayonnaise does taste differently than what you would be used to in the UK, so it has a different flavour. What people might even find stranger is that you can also have satay on top of it, which I really like, so really nice peanut sauce. So it's not just the fries itself, it's also the topping that goes with it. And you've got some typical Dutch snacks such as croquettes and frikandel, which you can't really get here in the UK. And 8, this is all about cycling. So if you think of the Netherlands, it's such a small country that you could drive for maybe 3-4 hours and you could cross the whole of the country. So relatively speaking, everything is close by, and because it's so flat, it's very easy to cycle everywhere. So for us it would be very normal to use just cycling as a commute to go to work. So we've got dedicated bicycle lanes, unlike in the UK, and the Dutch wouldn't be all kitted out to go for a bike ride, because usually people cycle without their helmets on. The 9th point, this is about King's Day. Or really any time where the Dutch celebrate something, we would dress up completely in orange. Orange is the official colour of the Dutch royal family, and because they came from the house of Oranje, which means orange. But really it's not just all about King's Day. So we would dress up in orange, for instance, on World Cup football matches or anything where we tend to celebrate things. So any Dutch person would have like an orange jacket or something in their cupboard just to celebrate for the right occasion. The 10th thing, this is not about the general Dutch houses, but if you would go to the Netherlands, you might find it odd that some of those typical very narrow Dutch houses by the canal, that they've got these kind of twisted steps going up all the way, and it might seem quite dangerous to you that you have to go down all the way down 2 stairs if you want to go to the toilet. So the houses can seem a bit dangerous if you're not used to what they are. So point 11, well, I can't count it on my fingers anymore. But for the Dutch it's pretty normal that a big part of our country is below sea level. So we're not worried about it at all, and we've got systems in place to control the water for quite a long time. And the funny thing is that I've heard Dutch people tend to be really tall, and they used to say that this was because we have to have our head above the water. The 12th tip is probably one of my favorites, and this is all about having chocolate for breakfast. Well, we're not talking here about a chocolate cake as such, but we're talking about having bread. It's very typical Dutch because we would have bread in the morning, we would have it in the afternoon as well. But what is unusual is that we tend to have a lot of chocolate on it. Then there's no limit here because you can have chocolate paste, chocolate sprinkles, chocolate savings, anything you want. And then the final point, and point 14, is Sinterklaas. Who would celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December if you've got Sinterklaas on the 5th of December, a bit earlier? So generally, kids would get their presents from Sinterklaas rather than having a lot of presents for Christmas, as you might see in the UK. And one of my favourite things for Sinterklaas as well is all the candy that comes with it. And not surprisingly, if you looked at point 12 about the chocolate, for Sinterklaas we also get chocolate letters. So you would get your own name spelled in chocolate letters. And luckily my name is quite long. So here was my list of 13 things that I find are actually quite normal, but I can imagine for people living outside the Netherlands this might not be the case. So if you want to know more about the quirky British habits, then please have a look at this video.